The Cross Festivals. The Cross Festivals, Christmas. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the one, the self-sufficient master who does not beget nor was he begotten. And prayers of Allah be upon his Prophet Muhammad and his family and companions. Among the gravest sins which are committed by the followers of Islam is to celebrate the holidays of the infidels and the worshippers of the cross. Indeed, it is an evil act against the fundamentals of the religion and the testimony of there is no true God except Allah. When I saw this evil act spread gradually, I decided to write this article as fulfillment to the obligation of advice and enjoining the good and forbidding the evil, as teaching to who does not know, as a reminder to who forgot, and as setting this issue right before its intensiveness. Christmas is a religious holiday for the worshippers of the cross. The first thing that should be acknowledged is that these holidays are religious holidays invented by the Christians. They celebrate these days because they think that Jesus was born in them. Actually, the holidays' appearances and traditions manifest this, because they are based upon their nullified creeds. The Muslim is requested, according to the laws of the Sharia, to abstain from sharing their holiday, because they think that Allah Almighty begot the Christ in this day. To us, it is the holiday of inventing lies against Allah and wronging Him. Therefore, how could a Muslim consider his Lord too exalted and declares his oneness, feel joy in a day in which Allah Almighty is accused and a son and wife are ascribed to Him? Allah Almighty said in the Qudsi Hadith, "Son of Adam had invented a lie against me with no reason for him to do so and insulted me with no reason for him to do so. As for his inventing lie against me, he said, he will not return me as he initiated me. Indeed, recreating to me is easier than initiating a creature. As for his cursing me, he said, Allah has begotten a son. Indeed, I am the one, the self-sufficient, and I did not beget nor was I begotten, and there is none co-equal or comparable unto me," reported by Al-Bukhari. If we suppose that it is a national holiday has nothing to do with the birth of the Christ in their creed, we would not be allowed to celebrate it, because we are ordered to be dissimilar to them. The Prophet, prayers and peace of Allah be upon him, said, "O Abu Bakr, there is a holiday for each nation, and this is ours, agreed upon." Actually, holidays are one of the most prominent things that distinguish the nations and make them feel honored. Evidences of the prohibition of celebrating the holidays of the infidels. 1. Their holy days are null and void. Allah Almighty said, "And those who do not bear witness to falsehood, and if they pass by some evil play or evil talk, they pass by it with dignity." Surat Al-Furqan, 72. 72. Those who do not attend falsehood, such as places of sins and prohibited amusement, and when they pass by futile statements and actions they pass by quickly, keeping the dignity of their souls by staying away from becoming involved in these things. Surah Al-Furqan, 72. Ibn Abbas, Sayyidi ibn Jubair, Ad-Dahhak, Mujahid and Ibn Sirin said, "Falsehood is the holidays of the polytheists, and this is not contrary to the saying of who said that falsehood is singing. Because the holidays of the infidels are falsehood and singing is falsehood, and because the holidays of the infidels surely include singing." To the Prophet, prayers and peace of Allah be upon him, nullified the holidays of the pre-Islamic period. The Prophet, prayers and peace of Allah be upon him, found the people of Al-Madinah celebrating some holidays, so he nullified them and substituted them with the first Eid and the second Eid. Anas, may Allah be pleased with him, said, "When the Messenger of Allah, prayers and peace of Allah be upon him, came to Al-Madinah while they had two festivals from the days of the pre-Islamic period. So he said, Allah Almighty substituted them to you with better days, the first Eid, Fitr, and second Eid, Al-Adha, reported by Abu Dawud and declared authentic by Al-Albani. Indeed, the holidays of the Christians are more dangerous than the holidays of extinct pagan religion. 3. The Prophet, prayers and peace of Allah be upon him, cared for abstaining from the holidays of the infidels. It is narrated that a man took a vow to slaughter a camel at Buwana. So he came to the Prophet, prayers and peace of Allah be upon him, and said, "I have taken a vow to sacrifice a camel at Buwana." The Prophet, prayers and peace of Allah be upon him, asked, "Did the place contain any idol worshipped in pre-Islamic times?" He, the man, said, "No." Then the Prophet asked, "Was any pre-Islamic festival observed there?" The man replied, "No." Whereupon, the Prophet, prayers and peace of Allah be upon him, said, "Fulfill your vow," reported by Abu Dawud. Actually, there is no difference between abstaining from them in regard to time or place. For the prohibition of taking the infidels as awliya, i.e. friends, protectors, helpers. Allah Almighty said, O you who believe, take not the Jews and the Christians as awliya, friends, protectors, helpers, they are but awliya of each other. And if any amongst you takes them as awliya, then surely he is one of them. Surat Al-Ma'idah, 51. 51. O you who believe in Allah and follow His Messenger, do not take the Jews and Christians as your allies and close friends whom you support. The Jews will only support those of their religion, and the Christians will do the same. Both groups will unite against you. Whoever from you takes them as friends is one of them. Allah does not guide those who do wrong by supporting the disbelievers. You will see, O Messenger, those weak in faith rushing to become friends with the Jews and the Christians, saying, we fear that these people will gain victory and when they come into power we will be harmed. Perhaps Allah will give victory to the Messenger and the believers or bring something from him that will crush the force of the Jews and their allies. Those who rush to befriend them will then regret the hypocrisy they kept hidden within their hearts, because the weak links they held onto will be for nothing. The believers will say in surprise at the condition of these hypocrites, are these the people who swore serious oaths that they were with you, O you who have faith, in faith? Support and alliance? Their actions have gone to waste and they have become losers because they lost their true goal and because of the punishment prepared for them. O you who believe in Allah and follow His Messenger, if any one of you turns back from their religion to disbelief, then Allah will soon replace them with a people whom He will love and who will love Him due to their steadfastness. They will be compassionate towards the believers and harsh towards the disbelievers. They will strive with their wealth and their lives so that Allah's word is victorious. They will not fear the one who blames them, because their concern will be Allah's pleasure and blame rather than that of created things. That is Allah's grace which He gives to whomever of His servants He wishes. Allah's grace and kindness is wide and He knows who is deserving of the same and who is not. Surah Al-Ma'idah, 51-54. The ruling of this is either prohibition or infidelity. Indeed, celebrating their holidays is one of the greatest forms of taking them as awliya. Whoever shares them their holiday, because of loving their religion, being satisfied with it or desiring manifesting their rituals, is infidel and apostate. On the other hand, whoever shares them their holiday as a kind of imitation or courtesy is indulged in a grave prohibited act and open to himself a gate of grave evil. Because tolerating such prohibited acts may lead to falling in the acts of taking them awliya which turn the Muslim to be infidel. 5. Enjoining being dissimilar to them in general. The Prophet, prayers and peace of Allah be upon him, said, whoever imitates a group of people is considered one of them, reported by Abu Dawud. This means imitating them in something of their distinguished characteristics. Abdullah ibn Ammar ibn al-As, may Allah be pleased with him, said, whoever built a house in the countries of the polytheist people and celebrated their holidays and festivals till his death would be resurrected with them on the day of judgment. Ibn al-Qayyim. With authentic chain of transmission. The Prophet, prayers and peace of Allah be upon him, enjoined being dissimilar to them in the appearances, so, imagine how it is with the acts of creed. He enjoined clipping the mustaches and letting the beards grow. Also, he said that the Jews and Christians do not dye their hair, so, you should be dissimilar to them. Agreed upon. 6 scholars' consensus. Ibn al-Qayyim, may Allah mercy him, said in Ahkam al-Azizima, 1245-3. As they are not allowed to manifest their holidays, it is not allowed for Muslims to have partiality with them, support them or share them. This is agreed upon by the scholars and is declared by the jurists of the 4 juristic schools in their books. This opinion is quoted by Ibn Taymiyyah in Iqtida as-Sirat al-Mustaqim, 215, and he mentioned opinions include the judgment of Omar concerning the non-Muslims who enjoy Muslims' protection. They should not declare their festivals and rituals, otherwise there is no protection for them. And this is quoted by Ibn al-Hajj al-Maliki in al-Madkhal. Kinds of the prohibited participation. 1. Going to the places of celebration. Omar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be pleased with him, said, do not enter the places of the Christians on their holiday because wrath and discontent descend upon them. Ibn al-Habib al-Maliki said, Ibn al-Qasim was asked about riding the ships that the Christians ride to go to their holidays. And he hated it lest wrath descends upon them because of the polytheism that they agreed upon. Actually, watching the programs, e.g. movies, parties, sessions, competitions, which are prepared for this occasion has the same ruling. 2. Congratulating the infidels in their holidays. Ibn al-Qayyim said in Ahkam al-Azizima, 441-1 as for presenting congratulations for the rituals of disbelief, it is unanimously prohibited. This is like congratulating them for their holidays and fasting by saying, "Happy holiday" or "be pleased with this" or any other phrase. If the one who says such phrases escaped from infidelity, he would have committed an evil act. It is like congratulating the polytheist for prostrating himself for the cross. Rather, it is more detested and graver, in the eyes of Allah, than congratulating them for drinking wine, killing innocent self, committing illegal sexual intercourse and such acts. Actually, many of those who have nonchalance toward religion commit this and do not feel the gravity of their doing. Indeed, whoever congratulates a servant for committing a sin, new creation in the religion or act of infidelity has made himself subject to the wrath and discontent of Allah. This is about whoever congratulates the Christians for their holidays, and the same is applied to congratulating the Muslim for the holidays of the Christians, because he is participant in the evil. Also, this is applied to saying Happy New Year and exchanging the congratulations. 3. Exchanging the gifts. Ibn Habib said, Ibn al-Qasim hated presenting a gift to the Christian in his holiday as reward for him, and he counted it as glorifying to his holiday and supporting to his infidelity. Furthermore, it is mentioned in the books of the Hanafi scholars that whoever presents to them, in their holiday, a watermelon as glorification to their holiday is infidel. Ibn Hajar said in Al-Fath, Sheikh Abu Hafs al-Kabir an-Nasafi, the Hanafi scholar, exaggerated the issue and said that whoever presents an egg, in this day, for a polytheist as glorification to the day is infidel disbelieved in Allah Almighty. Ibn Taymiyyah said in Iqtida as-Sirat al-Mustaqim, 245. No gift should be presented to a Muslim in these holidays on the account of the holiday, especially if it was something facilitates resembling them. For buying new clothes for the children. Buying new clothes for the children has the same above-mentioned ruling, because it is a sign of joy in this day and one of the holiday's characteristics. Ibn Taymiyyah said, 329-25 Muslims are not permitted to imitate them in anything relating to their holidays. Whether it is food, clothes, having wash, setting fire, stopping one of the acts of life, e.g. making it a vacation day, specifying worship in it or any other thing. Also, it is not lawful to make banquet, present gift, sell something facilitates the celebration, give the children opportunity to play the games of the holidays or have decorations. 5. Making candies and selling them. Making the candies and what is prepared especially for the New Year's festivals is prohibited in the Islamic Sharia, because it is a kind of helping one another in sin. Rather, it is helping one another in plain polytheism. Allah Almighty said, Help you one another in al-bir and at-taqwa, virtue, righteousness and piety, but do not help one another in sin and transgression. And fear Allah. Verily, Allah is severe in punishment, Surat Al-Ma'idah, 2. 2. Help one another, O believers, to do what you have been instructed and to leave what you have been prohibited from. Fear Allah by holding on to His obedience and avoiding His disobedience. Allah's punishment for the one who disobeys Him is severe, so be careful of it. Allah has forbidden you from eating those animals that die without being ritually slaughtered. He has also forbidden you from spilled blood, pig's meat, an animal on which other than the name of Allah was taken at the time of slaughter, an animal that was strangled or beaten to death, or one that fell from a high place, or an animal that was gored by another animal and an animal that was hunted by a predator, such as a lion, tiger or wolf. Unless you reach any of these animals while they are alive and you slaughter them, in which case they will be lawful for you. He has forbidden you from those animals that were sacrificed for idols. He has also prohibited you from drawing lots to know whether something is destined for you or not, or to use as a means of making a decision when intending to do something or not. By doing these prohibited things a person is leaving obedience to Allah. Today the disbelievers have lost hope that you will leave the religion of Islam, because they see its strength. So do not fear them, but fear me alone. Today I have perfected for you your religion, so I will not accept any other. If anyone is forced due to hunger to eat from an animal that was not slaughtered correctly, with no inclination to sin, there is no sin on such a person to do so. Allah is forgiving and compassionate. Surah Al-Ma'idah 2-3. Also, the Muslim should not accept any gift or food had been prepared for such occasions. Sheikh Ibn Uthaymin said in Fatawi al-Aqidah, 247. Also, it is prohibited for Muslims to imitate the infidels by having parties for this occasion, exchanging the gifts, distributing candies and food, stopping work in such acts. Because the Prophet, prayers and peace of Allah be upon him, said, whoever imitates a group of people is considered one of them, reported by Abu Dawud. Hence, you should abstain from accepting or eating any food prepared for this occasion. 6. Selling the instruments and renting the auditoriums. Ibn Habib said, Muslims are not allowed to sell to the Christians something relates to their holiday, i.e. meat, food, clothes, or lend them riding animal or help them in anything relates to the holiday. Because this implies glorifying their polytheism and supporting their infidelity. Furthermore, the rulers should prevent the Muslims from this. This is the saying of Malik and others, and I know no one who said something against it. Ibn Taymiyyah said, also, the Muslim should not sell what facilitates for Muslims imitating them in the holiday, i.e. food, clothes, etc., because this is help for doing evil acts. 7. Resembling Santa Claus. Among the gravest appearances of disbelief is to resemble Santa Claus in his clothes and white beard for taking pictures or acting and pleasing the children. Every photographer does this, every father presents to his children candies and gifts claiming that they are brought by Santa Claus. And every person fixes his picture should know that he is collared to infidelity and Christianity. Epilogue. O Muslim, you say, guide us to the straight way. The way of those on whom you have bestowed your grace, not the way of those who earned your anger, i.e. those who knew the truth, but did not follow it, nor of those who went astray, i.e. those who did not follow the truth out of ignorance and error. Surat al-Fatiha, 6-7. 6-7. Show and facilitate for us the right way, the path of submission to you which has no crookedness, and make us firm upon it. The same path as those of your creation whom you have blessed with guidance, such as the prophets, the truthful, martyrs, and the righteous ones. What good companions these people make! Keep us away from the path of those who earned your anger, who knew the truth and did not follow it as was the case with the Israelites. And keep us away from the path of those who lost their way and were not guided, because they were neglectful in seeking the truth and being guided by it as was the case with the Christians. Surah Al-Fatiha, 6-7. And you know that who earned Allah's anger are the Jews and who went astray are the Christians, therefore, you stay away from their way. Indeed their holiday is part of their way. O Muslim, you know that Islam is to surrender to Allah by declaring monotheism and subject yourself to Him by obedience and declaring freedom from polytheism and its people. Therefore, you should declare freedom from all obligations toward the Christians and their religious and secular holidays. Do you feel pleasure for sharing the Christians their joys while they engage holy wars, according to their creed, against you and your brothers? They are afflicting them with the worst torment, killing their sons and violating the chastity of their women? O Muslim, if you want honor, you should go in its way. Actually, following the infidels and imitating them is one of the reasons of humiliation and ignominy. You should know that honor lies in adhering to the religion and renouncing the enemies. Allah Almighty said, those who take disbelievers for awliya, protectors or helpers or friends, instead of believers, do they seek honor, power and glory with them? Verily, then to Allah belongs all honor, power and glory. Surat An-Nisa, 139. 139. This punishment is because they took the disbelievers as their helpers and supporters instead of the believers. How strange that they took them as allies. Do they search for assistance and protection with them? All assistance and protection belongs only to Allah and comes only from Him. Allah has already revealed to you, O believers, in the noble Quran that if you are sitting in a gathering and you hear a person disbelieving in Allah's words starting to make fun of them, then you must not sit with them and you must leave the gathering until they begin speaking about something other than disbelief and making fun of Allah's words. If you sit with them while you hear them disbelieving in and mocking at Allah's words, then you are like them and not following Allah's instruction. Because you went against Allah by sitting with them just as they went against Him by disbelieving in Him. Allah will gather the hypocrites, who show themselves as Muslims on the outside but hide disbelief inside themselves, and the disbelievers together in the fire of hell on the Day of Judgment. Allah has already revealed to you, O believers, in the noble Quran that if you are sitting in a gathering and you hear a person disbelieving in Allah's words starting to make fun of them, Then you must not sit with them and you must leave the gathering until they begin speaking about something other than disbelief and making fun of Allah's words. If you sit with them while you hear them disbelieving in and mocking at Allah's words, then you are like them and not following Allah's instruction. Because you went against Allah by sitting with them just as they went against him by disbelieving in him. Allah will gather the hypocrites, who show themselves as Muslims on the outside but hide disbelief inside themselves, and the disbelievers together in the fire of hell on the Day of Judgment. The hypocrites tried to deceive Allah by showing themselves as believers on the outside while hiding disbelief inside. Allah, in turn, deceives them because he protects their lives despite knowing about their disbelief. In the afterlife, he has prepared the most severe punishment for them. When they stand for prayer, they do so lazily, with reluctance. They only remember Allah a little when they see the believers. These hypocrites are wandering and confused. On both the inside and the outside, they are not with the believers, nor with the disbelievers. On the outside, they are with the believers, but inside, they are with the disbelievers. Whoever Allah misleads, you, O Messenger, will never find a way to guide such a person. Surah Al-Ma'idah 139-141. Glorified you Allah, and praise is due to you. I bear witness that there is no God except you, I seek your forgiveness and I repent to you. Muhammad Haj Isa Al-Jaziriyu